Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am interviewing Dave Kerr, and for those of you who don't know, that is the creator of My Singing Monsters. Today I'm interviewing him, and I'm super excited, so before we ask any questions as per usual, let's have Dave do a bit of an introduction for himself.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Obviously, my name's Dave Kerr. I do want to kind of interject there because you said I'm the creator of MSM. Now, I am, yes, I did. I was very much designed and did the music and stuff, but it was a team effort. I don't want to be taking all the credit. Yeah, I was basically the designer, producer, and composer on My Singing Monster from, its inception. It was my pitch and my concept. And since then, it is way, way beyond me. It's amazing to see what's happened with it. But yeah.
Alright, I kind of just wanted to start off with a question I just now thought of. It's nothing big, but
Sure.
I kind of just wanted to see what your thoughts were of like how like what your reactions and thoughts on are basically what you think of like the huge like popularity wave of MSM currently.
The second wave, it's amazing. I must admit, like when we made this, we were thinking, oh, it's going to be a couple years, right? And so we really didn't plan too far ahead. I'm honestly shocked that it's kind of come back. I just heard about it. It was weird. My brother said, "Oh, my nephew's picking up the game again," and then I heard another nephew, and then I just started to hear. I'm like, "What's going on?" And former friends, or still friends, but like friends from long ago, started, and it's like, "Okay, what's going on here?" I just find it truly fascinating. But I also, I thought about it, and it was like, I think it's because it's kind of timeless that it can come back. I think music in general is kind of timeless, but one conscious decision that we made, this was a very, very a lot of debating about what type of music to make, because if we had made music that was very relevant for 10 years ago, would it have aged well? I don't know, because and so we made this conscious effort to be, we're not going to be like anything. So I'm kind of thinking that might be one of the reasons why it's just, it doesn't sound like anything else, so therefore it doesn't feel like something that's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Same with the art style. It was, let's just do whatever we feel right. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but I'm really happy that it's taking hold again and hopefully inspiring new generations.
Yeah, definitely. It honestly seems like, although it's, I dare say, mostly aimed towards more like younger audiences, I feel like it is definitely a game for all ranges of audiences, because like anyone can appreciate music and a good game. So that's just the way I look.
And you made a good point. Like when I guess maybe because I was a lot less experienced when we were making this, I wasn't really thinking about what audience it was for. We weren't consciously thinking this is for kids. I mean, obviously a lot of kids did start playing it, but I was making something that I thought would be fun and goofy and cool.
Yeah.
And we did have, I don't know about currently, but there was a lot of adults playing. I think there were a lot of closeted, like kind of like pretending that they were playing. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be dumbed down. Even if you look in the bios, the original bios and stuff, like it wasn't meant to be this juvenile kind of thing. It was just silly and I don't know, just very, very raw, very I would say, like it wasn't trying to be anything. It was just expression. That makes sense.
Yep. And I find the art to be just so unique. Like,
oh my gosh, that is nothing. I will not take any credit of that. We had 3 artists on there originally. It's Chris Burge and Ty, and my gosh, like those artists are incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And you can see that art style is definitely their art style. It is not copied from anywhere else, and just the bravery to do that, to take those risks,
Yeah.
I really, really commend them.
Yeah, I agree. Like you see all these fan-made islands, like some may have like original like MSM monsters in it because that's kind of how it falls into place, and like for you, for at least me at least, it's kind of like, whoa, these monsters look very different from the fan-made ones, and that in a definitely positive light, because like it just really really shows you how unique like their art style is, and it's really cool in my opinion.
It's true, but when I'm watching the fan-made stuff, I just find it so enjoyable to see their art styles. Like
Yeah.
I'm really, I'm getting concerned these days where everything's starting to look the same. You know, everything's kind of Disneyfied or whatever you want to call it, and just seeing these fresh artists, like I'm seeing art styles that I've never even imagined could exist, and music styles, and it's such, you know, in we, you know, everything's about metrics, everything's about trying to get people's, you know, trying to copy everybody else. It feels like especially even AI right now, it's kind of this thing.
Yeah.
And I really, really feel like we're missing that originality, that sense of, and maybe this is why it's coming back, because everything's starting to get vanilla.
Yeah.
So it's like, I love the art in MSM, but I'm also just loving the unique art styles that I'm seeing, and some of them are just absolutely phenomenal, and you can tell these people are going to go on and do amazing work.
Yeah, definitely. But I think how about we go to the first question technically?
Sure.
Because yeah. Okay. What was it like working at Big Blue Bubble, and how long did you?
I was worked there for about 10 years. It was, I think, as in anything in the entertainment industry, it has its extreme highs, and then you could have some tough times too. And I've worked at other companies as well, so this is not by any means distinct to Big Blue Bubble. I think actually Big Blue Bubble had it was a little bubble where everybody was in their own little world, and we broke rules that other companies probably wouldn't. We were allowed to do a lot of experimentation, especially like the original projects. There was not much oversight, whereas I'm now finding in other companies there tends to be a lot of cooks in the kitchen, let's just say. So that was really great. I think that really helped, you know, give you know, let us just take risks, and you know, sometimes we failed, but sometimes we succeeded. And so there was that. I worked there for like 10 years. It was quite stressful, I say, especially at first, because my background was sound and music, and that got a little boring when you're just making gun sounds or sound. You know, it's not you're always at the end of the project. And then I started getting into game design, and at Big Blue Bubble, I was just kind of thrown into this position of being a producer, which is, it's, you know, every company calls them differently, but I was kind of doing game design and production. It was just basically leading the team, and it was very stressful because I've never thought of myself as being a leader. I never, you know, I was just constantly like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm so happy that did happen, but it was very stressful to sit there and go, are we going to get this project done in 3 months? I don't know what's going to, you know, like it was quite a bit of anxiety. But now I think it's actually quite hard to not be in charge for me, because I'm just so used to it, to not have the reins. So it was, you know, a great experience. And I just have to say again, I did talk about the artists, but it's, you know, some of the people there were just so creative, and you know, I still am good friends with to this day. And you know, those relationships, when things go well, right, there's this synergy, and you just don't even have to talk. It's like this everybody just knows their place, they know what they're doing, and everybody feels ownership, everybody feels like they can contribute. And I just, that happened, you know, a couple times, and whenever that happened, that's when the product did well. It's when you started getting those creative differences on projects, which always happen. I'm sure everybody's had that in their life, and that's when the project doesn't do as well. So it's, but yeah, no, there's some great friendships in there.
Yeah. All right. So for the next question, kind of tied into the previous question. So, what would you say is your favorite memory you had of working at Big Blue Bubble?
I can I did read this question, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is tough. I mean, obviously, when there's things like, watching, how many people are starting to play and that kind of that high you get from it. But that's, and you see it growing. You're like, oh my goodness, we had this many downloads. What's going on? That kind of thing. But I think, those you start forgetting about those things. I think the thing that's been the most lasting memory for me was, and I'm going to say this specifically because I think everybody will know it, but the first video we made, the advertisement, that was actually the owner's idea to make this sarcastic video. He's got a great sense of humor, and so we just ran around like, what can we do that's not real, but people might feel that's real. I don't know if you see in the video. I'm in a leotard with dots on, pretending to do motion capture, and pretending to scan the fur, and that was just such a fun thing where everybody just was coming up with wacky ideas, and everybody wanted to participate. I've always really enjoyed it when I could get people to be involved, like getting people to do monster sounds. Even some people who are not necessarily known for their singing, get staff members to, like in the video, like there's so many questions about, that guy who sings fur corn. He's like, well, no, he's an artist, and he's just lip syncing. But those kinds of memories of where you have this great collaboration, and whether it's with the music or just the whole process that we had of, I'd write the music, then I'd bring the music to the artists, and I had no idea what they would do. And just seeing them after, I'm like, holy, like that is such an imagination that you guys have. So that to me, and then sometimes I go back and like, oh, that's so inspiring, I'm going to change the sound a bit. That back and forth, it's just the most rewarding thing. And then I guess it says finally, the other thing that I really, really enjoyed, and this is, I think, even to this current day, is when I hear the audience. We got a lot of letters from autistic parents saying that this game really is the one thing that calms their kids down. And like, I'd literally cry when I read those things, like just to know. I think this is probably the most important thing for me, like is to know that I'm having a positive, that the work that I'm doing is having a positive influence on the world. I used to work, doing the Battlefield series, and I just was like, oh, I don't know about, having these violent games. I have nothing against them. I think that's fine. But I feel like, when you hear people, even now, I get so many people going, got into composing because of My Singing Monsters, and it's just like, oh wow, I've done my life duty. I feel like I've done well there.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm one of those people who got into composing because of the release of the Composer app back in 2016. Yeah. I remember hopping onto it and be like, I can't wait to make new music. Obviously, I wasn't good at the time, but like, really, that just inspired me to be like, well, what if I made the monsters sing this tune that I like or something? And so, like, that basically got me into composing. So, like,
that's awesome to hear. Yeah.
Next question is kind of similar to the last one in a way, but what's the weirdest and or like funniest experience you had from working like with Big Blue Bubble?
Funniest and weirdest. That's a tough one. Jeez. I think what I not the weirdest, but I've definitely had some unique experience. Like one of the ones I'm trying to think of the ones that would make sense. When we brought Diane Delsig, I think her
Oh
name
yeah,
was,
I remember seeing that
um,
video. Yeah.
and we brought her down to the studio, and she made this giant pom pom thing. That was I don't know if it's funny or weird, but it was just so different. It was an experience I never thought I would have. Another one, I guess if this is not funny or weird by any means, but the getting the orchestral recording was such a great moment. I'm now answering the past question, but I'm trying to think of funny or weird. I yeah, it's like there's definitely funny times, but I don't think anything that sticks out. No.
Yeah, the Diane one is definitely. I remember seeing that video. Who knows how long ago? And funny little short story. Like I remember seeing that video as a kid, and then I was like, "Whoa! I want to go to the Big Blue Bubble
Yeah.
place." And I remember having like I don't know one of my like mom or dad like record me outside being like, "Hello, I want to okay, I really don't know what I said, but I was basically it was like the Santa for me, like being like, hey, I want to go, I want to go to the office like Diane Delsig or something. I don't know. It was just me being a kid, I guess.
Oh, for sure. I think like one of the most important. Now, looking back, you can always kind of put them into nice poetic form. But if I was to say, what the heart of what I felt, my Singing Monsters one is to me, it was a lot about the audience, right? Making them feel like they could participate. That's why we had like the Monster Orchestra at the beginning. We had to play your part.
Yeah.
To me, it was really about that. I mean, I guess, seeing people's reactions. If you're just making a game, you send it out there. You don't see people play it. Like let's say you're playing music on stage,
Yeah.
and you see people smile, you see the reactions, you get that feedback. In a video game, you don't necessarily. And so for me, it was really getting to know the audience, getting making it more personal for me. So it was almost selfish, but I that to me was such a huge part of my Singing Monsters. Was it's about the audience. It's not about what we dictate. I mean, that's why I guess another tenet would be it's always about the music, but I always kind of felt that just music, like poetry, right?
Yeah.
Leave it up to interpretation for the audience. I always, we didn't do too many lyrics or anything. It's more like the audience can make up what they're saying. The lore wasn't very, at least at the start, there wasn't very heavy lore because it's like, people can just, interpret it the way they wanted to. And so I always thought that, that's the way music is to me, at least.
Yeah.
As you can, it's all about your interpretation. And so that's what I like to hear is the audience going, hey, I thought this. And so the interaction that way was really, really important to me.
Yeah.
I got way off track there. I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's fine. We things like that happen all the time in interviews like this, and it's all good. It's fun. But I guess next question is, what inspired you to create MSM?
I think the first inspiration I'd have to say is when I was learning about music, I was really fascinated by how you would get all these multiple parts going, yet they all seem to work together. Like if you played them on their own, they would sound so different. And then when you played them together, they would just, obviously, really boost each other up. Yeah. And I just found that incredibly fascinating. Like one of my favorite songs was Pachelbel's Canon in D, which Gold Island is based upon. I like Bach. A lot of music that has cannons or sort of like rounds, things like that, even row your boat, as you go, they all start kind of going together. I just found that incredibly amazing and mathematical to a certain degree. And so what I did, so I had always had that fascination. Then I would say the second thing, kind of piece of the puzzle, the dot along the line, was when I first started in the video game industry. I was working for Digital Illusions, and we were working on one of the original Battlefield games. And that was the first time I really got to play in a 3D world with sound. And so you'd get these little sound nodes that you'd put all around, and you usually put frogs or whatever that were coming out of them. And I was just like, this is interesting. What if I, put different parts of the music all around the this world that I'm walking around? Because and so what I'd do is I'd get some music, put the bass over here, put the drums over here, and then I'd walk around with my character, and I just found that so fascinating. Now, it didn't work out very well because they would all be slightly out of sync because of the initializing and everything. But I just found that so amazing, the idea of walking through a symphony and being able to be, if you're closer over here, you're going to hear this more. So it's almost like that mixing idea. And then, it just kept on forming from there. I was like, how could I, and I think the final piece is, how can I, I find it fascinating when, muting and unmuting. You had things like Fruity Loops at the time where you do, and it's like, how can you make this so it's more accessible? Yeah. That was really a key to me. It has to be accessible. It has to be making music for people who would never be able to make music, make people feel like they can make music. Yeah. And so how can I make this cool feeling that I get when I'm like looking at the music, but show it to other people? And so kind of had that idea around, and then these games where it was all about collecting creatures and stuff came out, and I was like, aha, that's where, that was kind of the final piece of the puzzle. And then it was so simple right after that. Then we go, yes, it's like this kind of game. Yeah. And using this technology and such. So yeah. So it's a long story. It wasn't really one event. It was a lot of little, and I'm sure that's happening now in my head where something's gonna be created, and I don't even know it yet. But I am making little ideas that are slowly going to form into one big thing.
Yeah, it's fun when things like that happen for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, what was the process used to design monsters?
Yeah, that was very simple.
Yeah.
I'd write music, and then I'd give them the artist. That was it. I mean, we had limitations.
Yeah.
So we had, obviously you would have the elements, right? So you would have to have, it'd be cold and air, and so the artist would have those things. But it actually was quite, I think. From what I heard from the artists, they really enjoyed it because it gave them a sense of movement. So they know they had this very strict kind of animation they had to follow. It gave them. I used to not say this, but I do say this now. Is restrictions create a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
So it having that unique sound, having the and the elements was just enough limitations that every monster really came out completely differently. And they had so much liberty. They can make it like pick an animal they wanted to do, or whatever, like any kind of other things they can add. But that was the real process there, and I do recommend it to people too. Sound first, or music first. Music always had to be at the heart of MSM, and it's actually a good guide, I find, now when I'm doing other things. So if I'm trying to describe to people, a game that's not music based, sometimes I'll give them a soundtrack and say, here's the feeling I'm trying to get. And artists definitely can get this emotional feeling from that. So I do highly recommend it. But this was truly about, right from the get-go, it was going to be sound first. I was not making the sounds after the fact. Kind of like like a music video. They make the videos based upon the song. They don't make the song based upon the video. Where usually, in real movies, the good person scoring it is going to, change the music according to the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. I the more I think about it, the more I can agree with that, because it just feels like the right way to do things. Like, yeah, just
I do know that Quentin Tarantino does that too. He's really much about the soundtrack first, and that really helps people. Because music, it's a lot more primal. It is considered to be, I think, one of the most abstract of the arts, right? I'm not if there's no lyrics, right?
yeah,
Because you can't sit there and describe what a sound is. You have to say, an oboe sounds like an oboe. You cannot. It's such an abstract thing where you can say, oh, this piece of art has an apple in it. It's except for abstract art, but music is so abstract that it doesn't. I think when you start with music, it ends up being incredibly different because it's not like we relate it to the real world. So it becomes very, I don't know, My Singing Monsters goofiness, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So since I know you do compose, that's your thing, I guess. Like, what do you use to compose, like DAWs or instrument and whatnot?
I just so you know, I don't. That's not my living. Composition is something that I've always done. I have done for games, but what I do now is game design. So that's my official kind of day job. I find music, it can be draining, right? And I can't just do it all the time. I kind of have to recharge. So I do that when I feel like I have inspiration. It's kind of like I don't want my hobby to be too much of my work. That's where it gets kind of gross. But
Yeah, definitely.
but when it comes to DAWs, Cubase is my main thing. That's only because it's what I've been using for so long. I used to use Logic way back in the day, but I was a PC person, and then Apple bought out Logic. But Cubase, basically because it's good at MIDI and good at audio, and
Yeah.
that's where at least back in the day, Pro Tools was mainly audio, wasn't very good at MIDI.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Next question is, what was your favorite like musical project? Like out. It doesn't even have to be like My Singing Monsters. It could be anything basically.
Musical project. I don't know. I do think it probably would be My Singing Monsters, but I mean, there's a lot that I've done in my I can remember back in high school writing music for the band, the school band kind of thing, and actually organizing a whole like getting all the people, getting like 30 people together, practicing the song, and then performing it at like the Christmas concert, whatever it was. So that was quite a joy.
Yeah.
I did try to write a musical in high school. Unfortunately, never finished it. Maybe one of these days. But there's a lot of those things, I think. Music in high school and maybe a bit of elementary school was kind of that thing that helped me tolerate being a teenager.
Yeah.
It was that one thing that I just always enjoyed. I never was into sports, and it was that thing that I was very shy, very awkward, but I felt like, okay, this is something I can do, and it gave me that confidence to I stand up and conduct an orchestra, but I couldn't go and talk to a girl, right? So it was very, so I think that, you can kind of say that from a musical standpoint, I think to me that was what got me through a lot of hard times. Got a lot of anger out, when you're 17, 18, wasn't a band, and there's there's so many. It's so hard to say.
Yeah, after doing music for who knows how many years, there's just so many things that have been things you've just enjoyed doing.
And
sure.
And you know what? I walk away from it quite often. I literally haven't made any music in 4 years, and I always find when I focus on other things just don't work out as well. And it's when I come back to music for some reason it just works, and I don't. Maybe I'm just being a little superstitious or something. But there's something about that. It's the honesty, it's being true that you know, maybe that's why you can't lie with music. You have to be, it's very vulnerable, but at the same time, everybody's vulnerable when you're maybe jamming or something like that. It's such a, I don't know,
Yeah.
unique thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I met my wife playing music. There's a big one right there. So Maggie
Yeah.
and I met when she was taking vocal lessons, and I was just learning how to play the guitar. And so she's like, "Oh, I want somebody to teach me how to sing." And so we just started, we got together that way. So I don't know. There's something about music that really that was what, geez, maybe 20 years ago.
Wow. Nice.
A little less than that, yeah. 18 years ago.
Oh, nice.
So it's definitely, yeah. The more I think about it, the more like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess we're gonna dive into more MSM forward questions now. So let's just do it. First off, what do you say is your favorite monster in MSM right now?
I always say Furcorn, and the reason is, I think there's a couple of reasons. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of them are great, but Furcorn was the first one that was made. It's also, when the artist made the creature with, and that's my voice doing my falsetto, and the way he described it, this is Chris. He said it's like this vulnerability to it, and you can see it. I mean, in the creature. That it really made me feel like that's how I feel, like this thing, wanting to sing the opera, wanting to do this, but that you can see the vulnerability, but it's also beautiful, and it's also like, and to me that was the heart of MSM, and I think it just embodies everything to me, like because of the memories behind it being made. Seeing it for that was the first monster animated, and seeing like, oh my gosh, this actually might work.
Yeah.
And of course, it being my own voice, it just and even the bio. Maggie wrote the original bios, and what was it? I don't know if it still says this, but it was Furcorns are sacred, protect them. Like there's just something about that character to me that is so precious.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I just really like sugar beats.
Okay.
I mean, it's mostly probably because I am a drummer person myself. But
Okay.
like, I just really like how his sounds are executed, because they just sound so clean, and just they feel
Now those
natural.
Those are so they're one of the rare ones that I didn't do. So that was a Christian Bush. That was from the real music. So obviously, they have access to professional. Like I'm a bit of a hobbyist when it comes. I know a bit about everything, but nothing really well. And so I worked with Christian Bush's brother on that. He would get the tracks and we would mix them. So yeah, the sound quality on those things are going to be really, really well done. But that's an amazing story in itself, that collaboration.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but if like we're not including the Suga fame into this, I'd probably have to say like Bogart, more specifically like Rare Bogart. First off, I just really love the design of Rare Bogart, and like just Bogart in general sounds good on all the islands it's on. So
yeah, I mean, strings in general for me, they just, I don't know, I think everybody, you just hear strings and they fit with everything kind of thing, and they just fill out a song. So yeah, Bogart from a musical standpoint, every island Bogart's on is gonna just have that nice, and I did use a couple other monsters, gave them string sounds, but yeah, I don't even know. we didn't gender them on purpose. At least I think they are now, but at the beginning we were just like, no, who cares? They're not even humans. They're not even animals. No. They're just things, so we don't even have to gender them. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of bordering on the previous on favorites in MSM. What's your favorite MSM island?
Again, I'm gonna do the boring answer and go to the first one. So that's Plant Island. I this, when I write music, especially if it's for something that I feel is really important, that anxiety of like, can I do this? Every time I sit down at the keyboard, I get that panic of I can't write anymore. I just did it, like the writer's block.
Yeah.
It's not even a block. It's just this incredible self-consciousness, this thing of like, I just suck, and you hit a couple notes and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
And I so much remember, like, Plant Island is burned into my psyche because it's not only writing the song, but it's setting the style. And
Yeah.
we talked a lot about the style at first. We were analyzing what was current. We would, there's K-pop's big, all these, we're looking at it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know. And then I finally decided that I'm like, you know what? Let's just do, and it was, kind of self-centered, but at the same time, it's like, I'm just going to do my style, right? This is what I always, I just make it very intuitive. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One, because of a lot of the, like the pop and stuff at the time, they didn't have many parts to them. If you really listen to, drums, bass, some keyboards, and you'd be like, oh, there's only 5, creatures on this thing. And I've always been, as I said before, like very polyphonic in my sounds. And so it really was, okay, do I really want to really expose my style to the world? What if everybody goes, this is weird, this is too, and so that was part of the anxiety, plus the fact of like, how dark do we go? How, light? It was such a anxiety provoking thing. I think I did it over a weekend, and at least the core of it. And even when I had it, I was still kind of like, I don't know, is this okay? The artists were incredibly supportive and like, no, this is awesome. But it was still, because the only precedent I had there was like thumpies up to that point, which is, again, my style. You can see it there. And, it didn't quite take off. Now it seems to everybody wants to play it.
Yeah.
But it's very vulnerable when you're really just doing what you feel. And so I think, and again, so that's Plant Island. Anyway, long story short, there you go.
Yeah. But for me, I really don't know. I've been playing for so long. I really don't know. Like, all of the islands just have some sort of special meaning to me in a way. But for like musically wise, like I'm kind of torn between Magical Sanctum and Fire Haven, both of which and maybe Bone Island. Really, I don't know. Like, just all 3 of those are just really good. Like,
yeah. I don't think I did Magical Sanctum. I don't think I had anything to do with that. Bone Island and what was the other one you said? Fire Haven?
Yeah.
I think I did the originals, but they were altered, so I can't take full credit for those. I mean, I definitely did the core of what's going on, but I think they switched things around.
All right. So might as well move on to the final question I got. So I kind of just, since I'm pretty sure you're at least somewhat involved with the MSM community a little bit. I wanted to see if you had any like, if you've seen any like fan content that you thought was like, whoa, this is really cool. So yeah.
I've seen so much. I don't know if you've known, but I am doing these reaction videos because people are just like, hey, I'm like, okay, if I can give somebody some joy by seeing them, if by them seeing me react to their video, absolutely, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. And I've seen so many. I can tell you that the ones that, I've seen so many that I don't want to start saying names because I might get them wrong, and I also don't want to miss some names. But I can tell you, there definitely seems to be this new style that I'm hearing, where it's kind of this fast-paced, kind of almost like, and it takes a lot of kind of swing music, but also computer, like video game kind of feel to it. Mm-hmm. And the ones where they just jammed packed with weird stuff. I just find them so enjoyable. Like they don't even feel like MSM to me, which I enjoy because I think this needs to evolve. I love it when I'm seeing people taking something, and sure, this is a launch pad for them to, MSM, but start making your own stuff. And that's when I really, really like it, because it's like you can see, like I was saying before with music, it's their own interpretations. And now they're taking it beyond what it was. And I just, and I think it's because of the sound first concept, where people are just making up the weirdest stuff. And you just see it, and you just have to watch it like 10 times, and you still don't even know what's going on, but you know it's amazing. Yeah. And that to me is the ones that I'm just finding the most fascinating. Like, there's great ones that are covering the music. There's great ones that are, kind of like the what if so-and-so was on this island. I think those are great. But just when I'm seeing these people, I think these are the ones who are getting in their, college and really kind of making their own way. I've just seen them, and it's just like, that is cool. And I think it's pure art. I mean, that to me is what we should be promoting the most, is these people are now coming of their own. So I'd love to, if I could sit down and make a list and like, hey, these are, and again, I don't really want to point people out, but there are just incredible talent, both art and audio wise.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen some. I like watching content on MSM. So I've seen a lot of people, like he said, like I'm afraid I'm probably gonna miss people. So yeah. But like, I feel like some of the people who are most well known in the community, who I think do really well with like animation and stuff, are like Ghosty MPA. Wait, no, Ghost Timpa, my bad, and Raw Zebra. Those two are.
Okay. You know the Raw Zebra story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. About me meeting him in person.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah, there's also just a lot of really good composers. Like, because I have a few friends who are like me and use the Composer app, like Mixmaster Corn, Cash Corn, two Furcorn people, and just so many other people. Oh yeah, Composing King, people like that. Yeah.
Now, that's actually something I probably should, because what I'm doing with these reaction videos is I'm getting some people who know the community to just handpick them. I don't want to know anything about them, so it's like pure reaction. Yeah. And one thing I haven't seen yet is now I know they're out there, are the Composer Island things. That'd be neat. I remember at one point I saw somebody made a Tool song. I don't know if you know the band Tool. But they were one of my favorite bands growing up, and they're really wacky. There's all these time signature changes. They're very progressive rock, and they did it on the Composer app, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, wow, that's how far it's gone. Like, I thought people were just gonna make, some little pop songs, but now they're going into prog rock where there's time signature changes. So it's just absolutely phenomenal to see what those. So that'd be great. I should probably ask them to find some amazing ones of those.
Yeah, it's fun. The community is really cool. I like getting to know people in the community. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely amazing. It's such the. I just kind of jumped on maybe a month and a half ago because people found the Thumpies video and said, "Hey, Dave, what's going on?" I'm like, all right, I'll just see what's going on. And I must admit, like, obviously, because I'm known, it's a lot more welcoming than somebody who might be a stranger coming in. Yeah. But it is such... I don't want to jinx it, but I haven't seen a negative comment. I haven't seen... Like, it's so supportive of each other. And I've seen communities that just trash each other. Yeah. And I can't believe that, and I don't know how unique it is. I think it might be truly a unique thing. Yeah. Where if you can get something like that, where people are just supporting each other, and you don't have, there's obviously going to be some toxic behavior, like, where cool stuff happens. Yeah. And me coming back in and just meeting people and all the support that I'm getting, like, I've just had people just offering to help doing all these things, and I just am so grateful. But at the same time, and I want to put that out to people out there, is anything I can do, I'd love to do. I've had people ask if I can make monster voices. I'm not going to do the ones that are like the real MSM ones. There might be some kind of legal issues there, but I'd be more than happy to give my voice away for free for people making music. when it comes down to the reaction videos, it's not for me. This is for other people. Like just to be able to have that ability to make somebody smile like that is the biggest honor in the world. And if there's anything that I can do for the community, I'd be more than happy to. But at the same time, I don't want to go and take over. I just think it's such an amazing thing on its own. So yeah.
That's awesome. Just making people happy is like it's like
so rewarding.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a superhero. and I, it's obviously kind of personal, like it's almost like an ego thing, but it really is about when I hear about children getting into music, which I think is one of the most important things to do, or I hear so many times like, oh, my parents don't listen to what I'm doing, and then I make a comment on it and you can just see them, or I make a comment on a video and they pin it and they love it, and it's like I made somebody's day. Like, oh wow, how amazing is that? I wish everybody could have that power.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I believe that's all the questions that we have to go through. So just thank you for joining me, Dave. This was really insightful and really enjoyable too.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. And I am doing stuff on a YouTube channel. I'm just learning how to do it.
Yeah.
So everybody can feel free to pop on over. I'm just doing whatever. I'm not really trying to make a career out of this, but at the same time, it's just fun. I'm just finding that so fascinating what this generation is doing. And I'm just learning and having a lot of fun. So feel free to pop on by and check it out. And I'm going to be just trying experiments and just see what happens. So
yeah, go give him go check out his YouTube. You have like what, just 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, just over 1,000, but I mean, hey, that's all I need, right? If more, that's great. But at the same time, I love being able to intimately talk with people, and like I'm mentoring some young composers now. It's really, really fun, but at the same time, it's challenging myself. I sat there, I'm going to write a song with I had no idea what was going to happen. That was such an interesting story of meeting these people along the way, and then we have an end result, and we're now working on the art. So to me, that's just a fantastic win-win for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. But once again, just thank you for joining me.
You're more than welcome. I'm more than happy to do this. This is just it's great. If people are interested, I'll chat away. If not, that's okay.
To the viewers, thank you for watching. Do all that YouTube things. I don't really know. Subscribe or something.
Subscribe here, whatever. Yeah.
And subscribe to Dave too, because he's cool. And
that's right.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in whatever video I make next. Alright, see you guys.
Great, see you.